Hello, and welcome to the Right Perspective Podcast Interview Edition. I'm here with Painful Progress from Twitter, and I'm going to be asking him some questions. How you doing, Painful?
I'm doing very well. And
Excellent. You? Doing well, thank you. All right. Well, before we get into it, tell us a little bit about you. Who are you?
Well, I go by Painful Progress. I'm a Christian, specifically a Presbyterian. I'm in California. I'm a father of two, a husband, and obviously working in order to support those children. I'm probably what you would consider one of your more extreme guests as far as my political perspectives, but I'll keep it clean.
Sounds good. Sounds wonderful. 2 kids, that's wonderful. You in your late 20s, early 20s?
Yeah, I'm 30 years old.
30 years. Okay. Wonderful. All right. Already at around the average or above. There we go.
Yep,
All right. Well, the topic we usually like to talk about is what's a major problem in the West, in our culture, our society, and what can we do about it? But first, what's a big problem you see?
I think so. When I was looking into my best response to this question, because obviously we were chatting before this, I wanted to come up with something that wasn't just what you'd already discussed with others, because those are very valid questions. Specifically, Dylan, you guys discussed immigration. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
It was a good conversation.
It was. I listened to that yesterday. That's awesome. That's not going to be my answer. I do think it's important, but I think it's downstream of other things. And one of those things specifically is, I would say, the problem of the left, and it is a problem. My perspective is that we have a political class, specifically the left, obviously, that is completely above reproach, above consequences, and they've entrenched themselves into every aspect of our life, every sphere of our life, every possible space has been infiltrated by them. And you can see that in their own literature describing what they did. They told us what they were going to do. They even called it something like the Long March through the institutions. Well, we're looking at the fruits of when they own all of the institutions and when they have people in all of them. And we're looking at a situation in which at every level, there is someone in a position to radicalize the people, the children, and the adults under their care or under their purview. And I think that is one of, if not the greatest problem facing us right now. We can get into who is ultimately responsible or who sits above that, but I think really this problem has to be dealt with first and foremost.
So when you say that it's above reproach, this leftist ideology, is that kind of summing up of what you're talking about?
Yeah, I'll kind of dig deeper into that. So above reproach, I mean in the sense of like insulated from consequences. So there's this thing, or there's this issue where obviously we're seeing a little bit of pushback right now on like Twitter and like in the spaces we or the circles we travel in, where we are going after individuals and trying to get them fired from their jobs and all that. But
the context of that is they're speaking badly about the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Don't worry. So in the context of that, like we're righteously pushing back and getting these people into trouble for the abhorrent things they say. But that has not been the case, broadly speaking, for a decade, 2 or 3. These people have largely operated without consequences because they own, they are within, they manage, they oversee all these institutions and these places. And so I think we're starting to see the beginnings of progress on that front, but I think it's just very important to hammer down and say this is the fight. It's one of the most important fights right now. Yeah.
Would you say they were insulated, or are or were insulated because we didn't have the power to give them consequences, or because we decided not to?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think so much of this is our fault. Much of this is because we allowed things to get this bad. So you don't need to have institutional power to contact someone's boss and tell them their employee is being a terrorist online. You know? That doesn't require you to be a congressman or to be an elected official or, the chief of a nonprofit. You could just do that as someone in your car on your break. You can be a force for good. And so I think the problem or the responsibility, obviously it's with the people doing the heinous things, but like we have a serious or had a serious problem with just not taking ownership of what we could do to fix or address the situation. Like it's I've the phrase is applicable other places, but like, the crown is laying in the gutter, just waiting for someone to pick it up, waiting for someone to do something. And I think part of this is that people are rapidly maturing in an age, like they're becoming adults, young adults, and they're realizing they do have agency, they do have the power to affect these outcomes. And I would lay a lot of the blame on previous generations, like boomers and Gen Xers, who didn't really do much to stop or stem the tide of this kind of stuff. But I do see good signs or good indications that at the very least we are willing to fight or willing to say difficult things. That's important.
So before we get on to solutions, do you have a short working definition of kind of what this ideology is that is pervasive throughout the institutions?
So you could call it many different things. There's this idea, well, obviously, we know the labels. We know communism, we know leftism, we know postmodernists, we know, the socialists. There are like so many different descriptors for what this group is. And I want to hammer down on this is important. Ultimately, liberals are included in this as well. If you are keen enough to do the reading and do digging into this, the ultimate end goal or end state of liberalism is hand in hand with the end goal, end state of communism and socialism. It just takes a little bit longer and different means to get there, but the end goal is the same. Power in very small, controlled hands and utter oppression of the populace. Um, and you can see this pretty clearly if you're interested in the reading. Check out the Demon in Democracy by Legutko. Fantastic book. Really, really hammers that out. But yes, as far as a definition, they are anti-family, anti-white, anti-Christian, uh, anti-humanity, and yes, anti every facet or aspect of natural law that is good or deserving of praise, they are against, categorically. And so I would say if I could distill it into like one phrase or one term to use for them, they're just anti-human.
Good stuff. I think, are you familiar with Joel Webbon?
Yeah.
I think the term he uses is gay race communists.
Yep. Gay race.
I think it's kind of getting to the same thing.
Yep.
All right. So we may be looking at President Trump and such like. Looks like he's starting to take some steps towards working on that, maybe a little bit. What if you were advising him? How do we fix this problem on a governmental level and maybe a societal level? How do we fix this problem?
Oh, good Lord, there's so many. The
Give us
term,
two or three.
yeah, the term like, the crown is lying in the gutter. Like, there's so many options. Like, it's what I would call a target-rich environment. So, like, the benefit or the upshot to these people being in every possible position and having infiltrated every possible institution and aspect of our lives is that, like, any action you take against them is guaranteed to hit someone. It's guaranteed to strike and actually hit the target. And so, a target-rich environment. But I think the most important things to target would be things like NGOs, going after organizations like the SPLC, the ADL, going after churches that foment and kind of bring this stuff up, going after church organizations. So, like, obviously, the immigration conversation, churches welcoming in immigrants from other countries. That was more Dylan's purview, but they absolutely still house and are working hand in hand with leftists. And so that's another thing. One of the biggest, and this is like piggybacking off of the Charlie Kirk situation. What a tragedy! What a waste of a really good man, and what a tragedy for his family.
Yeah.
Step one, if I had to pick like one thing to hammer down on to do immediately, is label transgenderism a mental illness. I would immediately outlaw any organization under Antifa or communism or socialism, any social program under those auspices or under those names. The individuals involved need to be investigated. So, like, there's talk of the guy, I don't remember his name, and I don't care to remember him, but he was apparently getting radicalized online on like Discord servers, and anyone that's traveled in the online circles long enough knows that is absolutely what happens to these kids. They're given unsupervised access on a laptop to whoever, and they're groomed by complete freaks into hating their families, hating their lives, hating their countries, hating their people. And the way that stops is to have it outlawed. So I would completely outlaw. There should not be a world in which an Antifa Discord server is legal. That's not on the table anymore. So, if I had to pick a few things, that'd be where I'd start. Go after the NGO, go after the organizations, completely outlaw or remove their ability to organize outside of in person, because in person, ironically, is where our intelligence apparatus is strongest. Like, we're able to map and find out where people are quite quickly with our intelligence state. So, yeah, I think electronically, where people are congregating and communicating, that's really important to tamp down on.
So how would you do that? These non-government organizations, do you just have a list of ideas that are subversive to American society, transgenderism, communism, that kind of thing, and any organization that espouses those isn't allowed to exist?
Yeah, pretty much. If you support X, Y, and Z, you're not allowed to receive federal funding. And until those are removed from your compacts and the people that support those things are removed from your employer roles, you're not receiving government funding. Like, end of.
Okay, so a removing of support, not a shutting down of the whole organization.
Well, if
Explicitly.
that's what it comes to, I'm absolutely okay with it. For example, like the ADL, that doesn't need to exist.
With the Anti-Defamation League. Okay, I couldn't remember for a moment.
Yeah, that's the organization that was created to protect a Jewish murderous pedophile in the South after he assaulted Mary Fagan. Like, an organization created under those circumstances, those auspices, is never going to be in the interests of us as a people. And just look at what they support. Just look at what they're doing. Like, they don't need to exist. So, them, I would say the SPLC is a horrific organization. Like, just I can like throw a dart and just hit something. Remember, target rich environment. Like, I don't have to try. They're just everywhere. Like, these organizations don't need to exist. And step one would be cutting funding. And if they don't course correct, then dissolution.
All right, sounds good. So that's on the governmental level. What we can do as a nation. What can I do? What can we do as individuals?
Well, what you're doing is good for a start. So, like, if you have a platform, if you have any kind of reach, use it. Use your opportunity to reach people and be a positive voice in your community. Be firm in your beliefs. Don't compromise. When you know something is right and you know something is evil, just say it. Like, so many people, I've been talking to people, and just in this past week with everything that's been going on with the murder in Charlotte, with Charlie's situation, like people are desperate for like anyone to just come and say, "Hey, this isn't normal. You know, this isn't
Yeah.
cool. Like we need to do something about this." They're desperate for someone to just say like easy, like knowable truths out loud. They almost need the permission to say it themselves because they heard someone else say it. And so be the leader, be the kind of normie whisperer, and just say the obvious things. and
Normie whisper. I like that.
step out of the comfort zone if you need to. Just obviously, if it's not safe to do so, don't do so. Like if you're in a very heavily a lefty organization, maybe don't talk to your coworkers about how much you love I don't know, right wing things or how much you love Charlie Kirk. But like it's really, man, like on the ground things you can do. I would say you would want to be doing what we're doing right now. So like when someone says evil things, they need to be held accountable for them. Especially if they say them under their government name and you have their information right in front of you. Like, they compiled a website in like a day. It's called Charlie's Murderers. You can just send them data on people that say things like this. And there are going to be more of these coming forward or created in the coming days and weeks. Like, we're done being on the back foot, and it's time to take aggressive action, and it's time to like really lean into this and make a difference. More on the personal aspect, what you can do is you need to start getting in shape. If you're fat, you shouldn't be. If you're too thin, you need to put on muscle. That's why I've been lifting weights. I'm pretty skinny, but I've been taking it seriously. I've been exercising. I've been getting in shape. I've been training. Like, these people are not nice. They do not care. And they were willing to cheer on the death of a father, a Christian, in view of his family. What do they think about you if they thought that about him? That'd be my recommendation. Just get in shape, start preparing, connect with your neighbors. So you would be surprised. Again, it's the thing with the normies. Like, you would be surprised how normal some people are. Just willing to say, like, what seems like a difficult thing, but it's an easy thing. Just say, that was evil. And then they have the permission now to say, yeah, you're right. That was evil. And then there you go. You just made a
I like
connection.
that. That's good stuff. So, kind of to recap, be bold, be truthful,
Yes.
and be in shape. Be ready to take on difficult situations.
Yep.
We have permission to shame people for shameful things.
Yes.
I've been working on my EU face. Whenever I see something online that's just gay or whatever, So I've started, because I do that with stuff online, physically do it. I can actually do that in person with people now. Like, oh, I watched such and such terrible show. Oh,
Yeah, gross.
why?
Why are you watching that trash?
Yeah.
Yeah, these people, like, people have totally underutilized and underappreciated the effect of social scorn, and it's time to bring that back, among many other things. But one thing I wanted to cover before we moved on to another question was like a little bit of a white pill. So I know there's a long road ahead of us. Like we're just starting, like the beginning, like the embers in the fire are like finally lighting, right? But the white pill is that these people will not last forever. They are dysgenic, they are sick, they are fat, they are mentally unwell, and in large part, they are not having children. So just by being normal, by lifting weights, by being ready, you are ahead of 80% of these goblins. And we will win. But it will take work, and it will take time. So stick with it.
Good message. One of the main things they have over us, or have had, is their boldness, their willingness to speak out for their views. And the best thing, I don't want this doxing thing on the right to be a thing long term, but I think what it is doing is sending a message.
Yes.
That's not okay. You may not do that. We're not going to tolerate it anymore. So we on the right now feel like we have permission to speak out on these things, and that's really, really good.
Turnabout is fair play. Conservatives and right-wing people have been canceled for the most normal opinions ever for like the last 2 decades. And so this is a very normal reaction to like much worse behavior on their side. Ideally, I don't want our people showing up at these individuals' businesses or homes or doing anything crazy like that. We don't want to give them ammunition, but we do want there to be social consequences when they step out of line. And step out of line is like the perfect analogy for this. Like, we need to make their views, their ideas, and their speech unacceptable. And we do that by speaking up and by making consequences when they say ugly or disgusting things.
Absolutely. Well, Painful, thank you for coming and talking to us. Where can we find you on Twitter and wherever else?
You can find me at Pain Progression, and I'm the only one there. I've got a very nice profile border. I think anyone in the space long enough would enjoy that. And yeah, I occasionally appear on podcasts. And thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah, stay on the line while it uploads. And for all of you out there, if you want to, one thing you can do to start following this advice, every morning except the Lord's Day, I put out a short 5-minute exercise. You can use that as your warm-up. You can use that as your metabolism startup for the day. You can use it to get in the habit before you start lifting real weights. All right. Well, you have a wonderful day, Painful. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.